Today we discussed the trouble brewing, of course, in the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria. Last week, we announced that the National Executive Council of PMAN had suspended the national president, Priti Okafor. Now it has been reported that the NDC of this association has announced the suspension of Sonny Neji, who is the first vice president, Zaki Adze, who is the second vice president, Michael Stephen Ugochukwu, popularly known as Rugged Man, and Baba Ojonugwa, who is the national treasurer. Also, Boniface Itodo, the general secretary, and Faga Ben Paul, the assistant general secretary, were also relieved of their duties. Now, this decision follows an emergency meeting convened in response to findings by the National Disciplinary Committee concerning allegations against PMAN's president, Priti Okafor. According to the NDC's investigation, these members unilaterally suspended President Priti Okafor without informing the NEC or appointing the National Disciplinary Committee, actions that are in direct violation of the PMAN Constitution. Now, in a statement sent to newsmen, the NEC praised President Okafor for his unwavering dedication to the association and his ability to manage the crisis effectively. Of course, we have joining us in the studio to discuss this is Mr. Priti Okafor. He is in the studio to discuss all of this. Good morning and thanks for coming.
Morning and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to ask, what's led to all of these things? I know this, it has been said that this is the second time that this kind of action has been taken against you. After what we saw, was it last year, where the governors of PMAN in different states unilaterally voted you into power against your wishes?
Thank you, Theophilus, and I will thank your station also. I came in as PMAN president, and my ultimate goal was to quell all the crisis, quell all the noise. If you notice, nothing has gone negative against the union to the media, and I kept it that way because I joined the union when there was a whole lot of crisis. So my mentality of doing things is doing it a different route, and because we channel the way of doing it through different routes, that's what we've been able to achieve all what we achieved. For the past 40 years, PMAN couldn't get or afford a place, but we purchased a house for PMAN when I took over. Now, like you said, it started since last year. The last year issue was because I refused that the money we brought in that was meant for the radio station, radio equipment, you all came to the studio, came to the office, you found out that we built a live studio for the PMAN FM, and we have a backup studio too. So if we did that 2022, why 2023 you are asking me to channel it to the NWC? And I said, no, it's musicians' money and I need to give account of it. And I insisted that the money will be paid to the agencies that already pitched and won the bid to purchase the equipment for us. And the money went there. Some of them weren't happy, but again, I didn't become PMAN president to please my direct NWC. PMAN president, so I could also make sure that all musicians around Nigeria, around the world that are from Nigerian descent can actually be proud and benefit from whatever we're doing at the national. So while I was away, also running PMAN, I was trying to put up the PMAN FM that already bought the radio equipment for. I was in America connecting iHeart Radio so that you can listen to us in 4 or 5 states in America. While I was doing that, they called up same emergency meeting, and what was the reason that I didn't tell them when I was traveling? The general secretary knows. And since I announced that we're purchasing the radio equipment, not sharing the revenues, some of them stopped coming to the office. So am I going to come to your house to tell you that, see, we're traveling? And when I did that, they set up a committee, and the next minute they are querying my whereabouts and all that, and they started impeachment move. And it was fortunate that this same general secretary that joined them now was the one that said, look into our constitution. You cannot query the president when he's not around. Right? I think that was stopped everything. So they waited for me. So when I came back, that was why I didn't want to contest again. I got fed up. Yeah. Okay. So when I came back and I said to them, okay, I don't know what you guys' problem is, but if we're going to continue, we need to be sincere to ourselves that I'm not going to do PMAN again. I have some money with PMAN. Can you guys work out how I'm going to get my money? I don't want to. Was that the money you were being owed? That was the money I'm being owed.
To the tune of how much? Of course, you're still watching TVC Breakfast, and of course, we're talking to Pretty Okafor, who is, will I say, he was suspended as PMAN president, and
he's still president of PMAN.
So, before we continue this discussion, we also tried to get either a rugged man or Sonny Neji to come on board, but as at yesterday, we had no confirmation from them. What we were told is that, and I'm reading a message from Rugged Man himself. He says the current president says no direct interviews until investigations are over, so that facts will be stated. In any interview and not speculations. So that's what he sent me in a WhatsApp message. But in all of these things, now there were some allegations that were brought against you by the National Working Committee of the association. First of all, unconstitutional actions, financial misconduct, violation of constitutional duties. Now, when they talked about financial misconduct, we were told that there was an allegation about a 7 million naira that was withdrawn from the PMAN biometric registration account and transferred the funds from the PMAN bank account into your personal account on several occasions. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, let me start with the with the 7 million. They know I was traveling, so you can imagine all the travel that I've been doing. I do it from my purse, okay. Right? I've never touched PMAN account from inception to date. Even when when they've already discovered, they signed my money that they are owing. But at this time, I already put together about 22 million for this travel. We're doing multi-city travel. We're going to Spain, we're going to Canada, we're going to America, we're going to UK, London, and we're going to Ireland. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do all this trip and come back. So I just said to the General Secretary, I'm going to be stuck, right? And you collected money from my other business, now my personal business. He collected the money and sent over, that, which I gave him something from that. I said, they paid in tranches that it's going to come in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks again. I said, give me IOU from the registration account, right? And when that money comes, you put it back into PMAN.
Was that done?
Yes, that was done. That was done. So it was a request I made. So that was done. And that was done because they owe me over 300 million. Mm-hmm. Now, it's looking like if I'm taking loan from my money that you're keeping, so why the noise? Mm. So the fact is that that happened, and he was the only NWC that reports to the office. Like you mentioned about what happened last year. Since after I came back and I was voted back, I had a meeting and I'm like, you all sat together to do this. I don't really understand why you want to impeach me, but I didn't want to contest again, and I was forced back. And again, I need to mention it. I'm doing this because of the members, because of the state chapters. If it wasn't because of the state chapters, I would sit back and run my business, let them run their PMAN. But because the state chapters started calling and saying, we voted you, we didn't vote you for you to leave us on the way. You need to come back. So that's why I had to terminate all the engagement and flew back. So at that time, I told them, since you guys took this decision, now I'm going to take a decision. If you need to come back to this office for us to sit down and work, each of you will start bringing businesses. Anyone that doesn't have any business to come to the office to discuss, don't come, because I won't sit down with you. For over years, you guys know how long we've been doing the stuff. I've been the only one bringing funds, bringing contacts, bringing investors. Mm-hmm. So I said to them, so you guys believe that I'm a fool or what? You are supposed to bring part of, if you can't even do, you've learned from me for over 5 years, you're supposed to emulate. But if you're not doing that, you just sit back. Each time I bring money, you want me to share. I'm not going to do that. And why I start sounding like that, when I brought the money for the building, I shared half of the money to them. Why? Before we purchased.
Okay, so was that where the 30 million came from?
Yes, that's where the 30 million came from. Mm. And why I did it, because I don't want this kind of stuff. Because they insisted that we shouldn't buy the property. And I said, not me. If I'm not the president, you guys do your own. Right now, I'm the president. I must purchase this for for the musicians.
Well, speaking of property, one of the allegations was that you directed the property developer to deposit $40,000 to your account.
That's not the property developer.
Okay.
We're talking about property. That's the PMAN property, the one we purchased.
Yes, PMAN property.
The property developer was Olusko in Abuja. I brought him too, right, to develop our property. There are like 5 that pitched. So I thought the dude had the capacity to build the estate in Abuja. And we did that. So directing is a question. The guy came to the office and he had dollars. Now, why he said he wants to pay into our DOM account, and the general secretary said, but we don't have DOM account. He said, if I go and change the money, that he's going to be losing a whole lot of money, that he needs to pay it into a DOM account. And immediately there, they know I'm the only one because of my international business that has a DOM account. And they said, but president has a DOM account now. Pay it into the president. Then our secretary said, president is the only one that can account for the money. Now, they are just they don't know what to say to the media, so they are coming up with all sorts of. None of the ESCOs, none of my NWC will ever come here and say, Pretty stole money, Pretty has eaten money from PMAN, Pretty has taken PMAN money. They know that.
Okay, so why did you have to give them 30 million naira? What was the rationale behind that? Because it's supposed to be the PMAN money, right?
Yes.
So why give them 30 million naira each?
It was actually accumulated sitting allowance. I'll use it that way. That's how I
accumulated sitting allowance.
Okay,
how much is sitting allowance?
I can send you the breakdown. But it was worked out by the general secretary. But what I wanted to do was to quell. I know they don't have. So we have. If I take all the funds to purchase properties, they're like, what they did now is they're not going to be coming to the office, because they'll also be working with me. So I said, okay, the only way I can approve it is now we are going to pass it through sitting allowances. And when we now had that arrangement, it came to some sort. Then I said, okay, you guys would know to have 10 million. So the 20 million in each everybody's, let's use it to spread around the state chapters. It became a war. No, where did the state chapters? When we were fighting, we've been with you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. Approve. Just to keep everybody in line. So that was how that 30 million went around. Not that they worked it, not that they worked for it, but they've been with me. The opportunity came for them to approve, for them to approve so that we can purchase the PMAN house, because we're like 7 and I was the only one saying we're going to buy. The rest are saying, no, we're not going to buy. So how do you think I would have been able to
Is the National Executive, the National Working Committee and the governors and PMAN members, are they aware of all of this?
Yes, they know that there's some money past hand, but they don't know the figure. So it was when they read my suspension, then I said, is this same from president that will break down how much came in and how much went to everybody that you people are saying? And that's when they now said, President, how much did you approve for the NWC? And I told them I was open. I couldn't have lied. I wasn't around. There's no way I can cover them. And I said 30 million each. And 30 million each. And they said, President, so why didn't you consider us? So you can, and I said, at that time, if I have chosen to consider you guys, this crisis would have started then. And we might end up not purchasing the PMAN house. So what I did was create an opportunity to sort them out and bring in another fund, which where we're going next, to sort out the state chapters, the governors and all that.
But another allegation was that you involved non-members of the NWC in an international trip that is normally for the members of the NWC. What would you say about that?
Where is it in the constitution that said, again, I traveled with executives. I didn't travel with NWC. NWC is National Working Committee. I traveled with executives, old members, people that were working with me before I brought them in. I want it to be clear. People that were working with me before I brought this NWC in. So opportunity came out. Listen, opportunity came out for me to travel, right? And I couldn't find my NWC. Remember I said they haven't been at the office for 1 year because I said we are not going to share the radio equipment money. We're going to use it to buy radio. So they stopped.
Coming to the office.
Coming to the office. And now I had to travel. Am I going to now go to their houses to beg them, you people come, let's travel together. So now I brought in people that I'm supposed to also settle like them. The only thing I can do for them is, guy, I go put your name for the stuff. Can you buy your ticket? Can you do your accommodation? Join me. And everybody came.
Okay, so they paid for their own flight?
Yeah, they paid for...
Personally?
Everybody. And again, let me reiterate this. If I had added even the General Secretary, he can't afford a ticket. Not now. That is still going to come out from my purse. So, but let me tell you what happened. This trip was already introduced 3 months ago while the General Secretary was in Abuja, supervising what that Olusko was doing, the developer. So I already told him about this. He knew about this. So for them to say, or for him to say he doesn't know is a kind of funny lie.
Okay, so is there going to be, are you going to call for a NEC meeting soon?
Yeah, physical NEC meeting, yes. But they've already done NEC meeting virtually. Now, our constitution is not ambiguous. Our constitution didn't say you must do a NEC meeting physically. You must, so they've done a NEC meeting. That was why this resolution came about. And the resolution came about because they followed... Okay,
so, sorry, they've done a NEC meeting.
Yes.
But in my interaction with Michael Stevens, he says that...
what does he know about the Constitution?
They were not aware of any...
He doesn't know about the Constitution. He's not, he's an ex-official, he's not a member of NEC. So that's why I said we do things according to the Constitution. But because they feel they are now ESCOs, they know more than the Constitution. If it wasn't for the NEC, you know, they would have succeeded in suspending me. But you cannot suspend the president. First, you cannot query the president if he's not around.
That's what the Constitution says.
Yes. Then you cannot suspend when you haven't even interacted or investigated the president. But see, they went against all our rules. And again, they suspended me, sent a suspended letter when they just sent a query. I was about answering their query. The next thing was... And when I now spoke to the media people that were calling me, they've already gotten the suspension letter 2 days before they send the query. So you understand what... So the NEC, they are not stupid. They are also watching and monitoring and investigating. So they came up with all that and now said, no, we can't even allow... The major problem is that they said, from the history of PMAN, this is the only president that has been able to perform and shown proofs. From Lagos, you guys can see from the radio FM, then from Abuja, what has been happening. So they said, we can't take that risk anymore.
Speaking on the resolution, I see that there is an allegation that the NWC wrote a letter to NDDC asking them to terminate business with PMAN. Can you shed a little more light on that?
I don't know what has gone into them, but I think these guys are a bunch of...
Just mind.
Yes, these guys are witchcraft. That's the only way I can say it. I went to NDDC and did a presentation, right? So the 9 governors from NDDC already got a deal with, from Niger Delta already got a deal with NDDC. I was the one that went to do the presentation. I did the papers and got the approval. So NDDC is mobilizing the state governors from that region, now helping them also. So it wouldn't look like money is only coming for the sponsors, investors, and the head office, but they have a zone. So I was also calculating which of other ministry that I'm going to go through in other region. So they approved. They started working with them. They've had their second meeting. After the first meeting I went with them, they had their second meeting and their third meeting. Now, because those region and some part north, never supported their moves, do you know what they started doing? They started picking them and writing termination letter against the whole of them. I could forward all that.
So why does it look like there's some corruption in the system?
There has been corruption in the system from day one, but the fact is because I refuse the corruption to continue, that is why this brouhaha.
Refuse? What do you mean by refuse? And I mean, if you refuse, isn't the corruption supposed to stop?
Refuse, and we're all getting 30 million each?
No, they are getting 30 million each because I needed to quell. Like I said, this thing wouldn't have. Okay, now, let me tell you the new one. If I had allowed the radio equipment money to be shared, you wouldn't have had this, right?
Right.
Then the major one is if I had allowed, there's a major cost. If I had allowed the funder that I brought, a new funder that I brought for the Abuja estate, wanted to bring 50 billion to PMAN. And we've spoken to our banks, everybody, and they demanded for documentation. And we brought in the developer and said, you're the grand developer, the local developer. We need this, we need this, we need these documents to finalize this whole run. But the developer felt uncomfortable because he felt he's not going to make much money. Okay. And they called me with the general secretary that, can't I advise my funder to channel the money direct to the developer? And I said, how?
All right.
The funder is coming from Brazil. And how will I even convince our bank that the money should go to you when it's supposed to go to a top construction company because we're building skyscrapers? The developer that I signed the contract with doesn't have the capacity to build skyscrapers.
I think we have to end it quite here because of time. But in all of this, we'll still bring you back, but we'll also try to get other parties to react to all of this that you have said. But thank you so much, Mr. Prito Kafa, for talking to us.
Thank you
all
for
of
having
this.
me.
Of course, we're discussing PMAN and sundry issues, of course, the development and the performing musicians.